Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome everyone to Higher Moment Mastermind, your Friday weekly encouragement spotlight for your job search. My name is Shira Lotzar. Delighted to host this event. I am a higher purpose champion. I am a bridge between employers and job seekers. I'm an association recruiter. Love to help people with their career branding. I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles and help people get noticed by employers. I'm also the co-founder and volunteer of boomerworks.org. We are a charitable organization helping professionals age 50 plus to re-career into self-employment. We offer free programs every month. Check us out at boomerworks.org. So today, delighted to share our guest experts. We have Michele Wright, who's an executive recruiter in accounting and finance, Corliss Jackson, who's all things federal government resumes, and Kiki L'Italien, who is our expert in videos and Zoom backgrounds and social media. Vern, unfortunately, isn't able to join us today. Hopefully, he'll be back next week. And then we have the dynamic duo, Rick Webb and Joe Weech, who work together in recruiting in government contracting space. So today, we are going to start with our traditional 10-minute breakout. And in that room, you're going to be identifying your group's top question or questions. Make sure to assign a scribe, and that person will come back to the main room afterwards and then put all the questions in the chat. Remember, don't put your chat in the breakout rooms, put your chat in the main room. Make sure that everybody kind of has equal time to share, and also share some best practices, some power tips from your job search. We'll then go into group discussion back in the main room. Please remain muted when you're in the main room so that we can give our experts a chance to share their advice. If there are any questions that did not get answered, please email me privately at shira@purposefulhire.com. I'll make sure either to answer it or get one of our experts to do that for you. And then at 10:05, we're going to have our speed networking. Now, like we did 2 weeks ago, we're actually not going to do what's on this slide. We're not going to do the breakout. We are going to do what I'm calling a round robin speed networking, where we go through all the Hollywood squares on Zoom, and every person is going to get 10 seconds to share your name, the role that you're looking for, the industry preference, if you have any. So like I'm looking for a CFO role in a nonprofit, or I'm looking for an HR role, what have you. And please don't share your past career history, because we don't actually have time for that, but just aspirationally what you're looking for going forward. But we'll do that at the end. Please keep in touch with our Power Networking spreadsheet. In fact, these next three links, Kiki is going to put in the chat box in a second. So we've got a networking spreadsheet on Google. We also have the recording of this Q&A. In a couple of days, I'll be putting this up on my website, this link. And then we have a job resources page also on my website. All kinds of tips and apps and books and so forth. And if you have any job resources that you think would be great for folks to know, please email me, and happy to put that on the line. So right now we're going to go into our speed networking room. So give me just a minute while I get that all set up for you. Okay, so go ahead and grab your blue join button, and we'll see you back here in 10 minutes. Shannon, Michelle, and Julie, just letting you know that you have a breakout room button. If you don't see it, Shannon, you're on mute. If you hit your unmute button.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, where am I going? This is my first time here.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, we're in breakout rooms now, so you should see a little button. If you don't see the blue join button, actually, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to move you into another room so you can see the button. Okay, let me go ahead and put you in here. Right now, you should see a blue join button, and you click on that, and you're going to go into a breakout room and network for a little bit. Hi, Amani. We are in breakout rooms right now. I'm going to put you in one. Okay, you can hit your blue join button. For those who are watching this online, go ahead and fast forward about 7.5 minutes and we'll see you back. Hi, Jasri. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. We're in breakout rooms right now for the next 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and assign you one. All you'll need to do is click the blue join button when you see it. And you'll be sharing with folks a little bit about your job search.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Janet, we're in breakouts right now. I'm going to go ahead and put you in a room. Okay, hopefully that was a good networking session for everyone. So before we go into our group chat, I'm going to give some time for your scribe in your group to put your questions into the chat box. We're going to have Joe Weech, one of our experts, share a little power tip with us. Joe, you're on mute. There you are.
Sorry, I was the scribe for the group. So I was putting in the questions. So, and actually this came up in our group, which was really surprising to me, but we have somebody who has not gotten hired, for a number of jobs that they've interviewed for. So it kind of is a segue right into what I wanted to share. Just in the last few weeks, I've had companies following back up with me where I was either their silver medalist or just don't know where I was in the process, but didn't get the job. And what I had started doing, like at the end of my time last year with getting turned down for jobs, is just simply when they say that they've selected somebody else or whatever, I send a congratulations note. Congratulations, on securing your first choice for the role, wishing you all the best, and then say something about like maybe a challenge that they're trying to solve, and say, best of luck with, your strategies to solve XYZ plans, and then say, and I'm available should you need me, for anything in the future, even if it's just to ask a question. And so you congratulate them, and then you make yourself available, and then it's just a lot better than saying anything about you're not having gotten the job, right? And I've actually had a couple people immediately respond saying they'd never been congratulated before on selecting their first choice who wasn't you. So it's a really great way to make an impression, but it also gives them an open door to recontact you. So I've also, I'm in this other group, and people have said the same thing. They said for whatever reason, they're starting to get callbacks from jobs they didn't get. So it's always great to leave everybody with a great impression so that you can never have a closed door.
Yes, and following up to that, Joe, the flip side of it is you want to have a positive attitude internally, right? I know you guys have put a lot of time and effort into your job search and into the interview process, and I know it feels kind of disappointing when you don't get the job. So you want to manage your own expectations too, right? Because first of all, it may not have been the job for you. On the other hand, it might be the job for you if the employer comes back to you a few weeks later and says, actually, you're our second pick, but you're really now our first pick, okay? So just keep your emotions in check and just keep going on to the next opportunity and be as positive as you can with the employer as well. Thank you, Joe, for that great tip. All right, so now we're going to kick things off with our group chat. Kiki, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so here we go. We have our question, our very first question. What do you do when someone accepts your connection, your LinkedIn connection, but then ghosts your request for a call?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The thing about LinkedIn these days is that it makes it so easy for people to connect, and a lot of people, myself included, want to have a lot of connections, right? But just because somebody takes your request for a connection doesn't necessarily mean they have the time to actually connect with you, or they may not feel that there's that mutual benefit in connecting right now. So one of the things that you may want to do is when you do reach out to make that connection request, make sure that it is of mutual benefit, that you're not just asking them for something, but you're actually in a position to give them something too. You want to be using expressions like, exploring mutual synergies. I'd like to get your advice, but would love to be a resource for you as well. And if there's something very specific you can call out that might draw them into the relationship, that would be great. If they don't respond right away, that doesn't mean they never will. Sometimes they're just too busy. Sometimes they may not have actually seen it, right? Because LinkedIn's posting, when you get a message from LinkedIn, could go into spam. You just never know. You may want to follow up one more time. The other thing you may want to do is once you have connected with somebody, follow up with an email, right? You don't have to stay in the LinkedIn messaging box. Now, how do you do that? If you are first level connected, and you can only do this if you're first level connected, open up that person's page. Right underneath their name, it'll say, in blue, it'll say contact info. Now, 98% of the time it's blue, meaning that you can click on it. And if you click on it, their email address should show up. I say 98% of the time because 2% of the time you have somebody who's actually super, super private and they don't want anybody having their contact information. That does happen. But usually click on contact info, you'll see their email, which by the way is just a quick tip anyway, just anybody in your network, if you ever forget their email address and you're linked in with them, you can always find it. So I would write them offline, an email, follow up, then you can write what you want to, and you're not limited, kind of at that short text. Okay, so that's my tip for that. Kiki, do you want to go to the next question?
Yeah, sure. So how do you reframe yourself to incorporate your life skills in addition to your professional ones?
Wow, it's a great question. I guess the question I would ask back to that person is, what type of life skills do you feel that you want to share that would augment your professional skills, right? So employers typically want to focus on the professional, even though they're hiring you as a person, and they do certainly want your soft skills, your behavioral skills. But when you think about when person says life skills, I'm not sure if they're referring to things that they do in their personal life. There is usually a little bit of a separation between the two. You definitely want to focus more on the professional. If there's something in your personal life that you feel is very germane to your professional, you could potentially share that in a cover letter. But again, the thing about any of the skills that you're sharing, we talk about this on these HMM calls every week, you really want to make sure that you're customizing all of your responses to the opportunity. Your job is to minimize the hiring manager's risk. That's your job. On your side, you're looking for career goals, but on their side, they have business goals. So any skills that you share, personal or professional, need to match up with the employer's job announcement, with the specific skills, hard or soft, that they are looking for. So I'm just going to open this up. Rick, I'm going to tap you here. Is there anything else you want to share maybe about this topic?
I concur with what you're saying, in that showing that your personal or life skills show value to the job skills and what you bring, because we are people, and business is really a people industry, and being able to share those skills with others and do it effectively in communicating and how we deal with each other every day. So having those life skills and showing how they transfer to the job is super critical, and it makes you look super valuable. So if you can articulate that, it's a great thing to have.
Yep, just customize, tailor. All right, Kiki?
All right. So how do you recommend responding when that question about salary comes up before you really expect it to? This person says, how do you recommend responding if right off the bat a company lists the salary range of the position at the end of the phone screen and asks if that range works for you?
First of all, those of you who've been on our HMM calls for a while now, you'll hear a little bit of a repeat of, but there are some people who are new here, so I'm going to talk about salary again because it's important. So what's interesting now is that I'm backstorying this. There are a number of laws in the country. They're called pay equity laws. There are about 25 states in the union right now that have pay equity laws, which say that an employer is no longer, in certain states, is no longer allowed to ask you as a job seeker what your salary history was. Now this is backstory to this question. And so you should be hearing fewer and fewer employers do that. So what the common practice now is for them to actually share what the salary range is, so that you have an opportunity to see whether it fits you, not just whether you fit them, but if they fit you. And an employer, remember, they're trying to mitigate their risk, but they're trying to maximize everybody's time. So actually it is best practice for them to talk about salary in the first interview. And think of it this way: if they didn't, and if they waited until the second or the third level, after you spent all that time, all those hours in preparation, putting yourself forward, and then all of a sudden you're $30,000 off, you'd kind of feel like you've just wasted your time, right? And they don't want that either. So actually it is common practice, and I as a recruiter myself bring up compensation early on. Now I happen to do it these days because of pay equity. I actually put it in the job announcement. That's just my particular preference. Everybody does it a little bit differently. So first of all, don't be surprised when you start hearing employers do that. Some employers are actually not going to give you a range. Some of them are just going to ask you what your expectations are. That's a little borderline on the pay equity thing. You technically, the recruiter can still ask you but best practices is note that they're not really supposed to anymore. But either way, you need to be prepared to handle it. So here's what I would do. First of all, if they are providing a range to you, and you're in the range, you can say, I'm in the range. However, if you've listened to that range and you are actually at the top of that range, you need to tell them you're at the top of that range. Because if you do not, they will assume you're fine with the bottom of the range, okay? Now, some employers are not going to give you two numbers. Some actually might say a number. In fact, actually, that's my particular preference. I'll say we're targeting, X dollars for this role. Now that actually gives you a clear understanding, hey, this is the target. If that number is a little bit off for you, it's okay to say that. Like, it's perfectly fine. In fact, that is actually when you want to say it is right up front. When they bring it up, this is your time to do some pre-negotiation. If they say our compensation target is 100 to 110 or 100 to 120, or they say it's just 120 or whatever it is, if whatever is right for you, tell them up front. Then you're not going to have as much of a challenge on the back end if you have to negotiate. Okay. Michele, I see you're nodding your head with me. Do you want to, anything you'd like to share about that?
I know, I'm just agreeing with everything you say. I always feel it's best to address that up front. Like you said, you don't want to waste your time. And I guess nobody wants to waste their time. So I think that's why it's important that, that's kind of the expectations are set. And certainly if your target is, again, at the high end or above, it's better to let them know upfront as opposed to, 4 interviews in or at the offer stage and kind of throwing, kind of catching people off guard. That, it just makes it a lot more difficult
Right.
in the end to negotiate.
Yeah. And if they do ask, if they don't offer you a number, but they just ask you what your expectations are, you want to know upfront what I call your happy dance number is. Okay, that's a good top and realistic number for your stage of career, that role, your industry. Of course, you have to do some research about that. But you definitely want to say, I'm seeking a total cash compensation package in that range. And you don't want to give 2 numbers. You want to give 1 number. I know I said the word range, but range meaning in that target area. So I'm seeking a total cash compensation package in the $120,000 range. Therefore, if that number that you give happens to be above what the employer actually can offer, that's the time that they're going to say to you, well, actually, we can't quite do 120. We can do 100. Do you have any flexibility? And then you can say, well, yeah, I'm seeking a total compensation package. So can we talk about benefits? And that would be the time you do a little bit of discussion of benefits and you can do some pre-negotiation. Okay, so there you go on salary. Kiki?
All right. So sorry about that. I'm trying to do too many things, and that's what happens when you multitask. Let this be a lesson to us all. How have you successfully navigated a career pivot?
Right. It's interesting. I happened to see that pop up, and I actually gave a presentation on this just the other day, and unfortunately they weren't allowed to record it. I do have the, excuse me, I do have the slide deck, and I'm just going to run you through just a couple little items here. I promise you I'm not going to preach to you for an hour. But I do have this slide, and it says, why do so many people want to change careers? Which I think is almost the preamble to whatever the person's question is. And here's my my response to that, and that is because a lot of employers pigeonhole you into work you're competent at doing, but you're not necessarily passionate about doing. So a lot of folks are like, I want to get out of Dodge, right? So how do you transform your paycheck into a career you love, which is the question here. And it's really about this. It's aligning your career goals with the employer's business goals. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over again. And I have a whole methodology around that that has to do with, asking questions of yourself, right? How do you want to make a bigger impact through your work? What superpowers can you offer? I'm sorry, I'm going through this super fast, but this is normally a full presentation. What are the transferable skills, the hard functional skills that you can repurpose? And then how can you reposition your resume and your LinkedIn to maximize your job fulfillment while minimizing an employer's risk? And I gave a couple of examples in this presentation, and one of the ones that I shared was this woman, I'll call her Jane, and she was a lobbyist. In the lobbying government relations space, and she came to me because I'm a career coach, and people come to me for things like this. And she said to me, she plops herself down, and she goes, Shira, I had a poli-sci degree. I was on the Hill. I did all this stuff. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not my thing. So I did an exercise with her. Some of you might know, I call it passiontivity, and I looked at her skills and her career motivators. And then turns out that the thing that she loves to do in the world is operations. Like, who knew? A government relations person who actually likes ops. I mean, ops. And so what did we do? So I repositioned her. So we found all these accomplishment stories from her background that had an ops flavor to them. We relabeled her accomplishment stories with operations competencies, then created a LinkedIn profile that talks about her operations superpowers and her passion, gave her some messaging, and she got a job in operations because now she was able to go out to her network and do that. So I'm just going to quickly, that's the passiontivity. I'm not going to go through this right now. Sorry, I did want to show you, this is her, okay? And this was the top of the resume that we changed. So I couldn't call her an operations professional, but she was in the association space, so I could call her an operations-minded association leader, and then put in some competencies that really fit her operations goals. And this is an example of what I did. I wrote these accomplishment stories for her that happened to be, they were obviously real stories, but they had this operations flavor, and that's how I did the labeling. Okay, so that's a longer answer than maybe what you're expecting, but since I saw it, I had the PowerPoint, I thought I would share that with you. Okay, so let's keep on going and see if we have any other questions.
All right. So after a virtual job fair, what is the very next best follow-up so that I stand out and don't go into a black hole, since they'll have thousands of people following up with them?
That's great. Actually, Joe, can I punt this one to you?
Sorry, I realized my cursor was all the way over. Okay, so as far as following up, that's
a virtual job fair. Yep.
Right. I just think that if you have the person's name, you can find them on LinkedIn. If they provide their contact information, most people, when they're doing a virtual job fair, will just put in the chat, section how to reach them, via email. So they'll give you their email addresses, and if they don't, then just go to LinkedIn. But the best thing to do is say, thank you for sharing, and say something specific about what they shared that you thought to be helpful, and then just say, do you have any next steps, for my being considered, for these roles? I have applied to. And then it's always good to say that you have applied online, because they are going to tell you have to apply to the job regardless. So go ahead and just, initiate doing that. Apply to the job, and then just give them what the job ID numbers are. Just, I've applied to these jobs, and would you happen to know the recruiter who's been assigned to these jobs? And so that's where, if they're not assigned to it, then I've found that they're more than willing to share, okay, it's this person, who's been assigned to these roles, and so that way you can know who is the person that you need to follow up with.
And Joe, would you also recommend that they follow up with a LinkedIn request?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I find that those LinkedIn requests usually come in while you're at the virtual fair. They'll start coming in, and then I just start clicking accept, because it's actually the best time to do it is during. Those that are really on the ball, they're going to just start accepting your requests as they're coming in during the fair. But when they get off, they'll eventually connect with you. And I just think it's a really great way to at least try to keep that connection going forward.
Okay, great. And Kelly just wrote me privately saying that he had an experience like this yesterday. So Kelly, if you want to raise your mic, give us a super brief explanation of what happened to you.
Sure. I was on the women women IT
WIT, the Women in Technology.
Yeah, women in tech. Sorry about that. And I actually just got 2 interviews from there, and briefly I went on every one, and I left a note. And I had a little canned thing. So, can you please give me a call? Can you please reach out to me? I'm looking for, had my outside reposition or business development, and some person from Lados and someone else reached out to me too. And I got 2 options. But everyone I got, as Joe said, sent them all a thank you note and a quick LinkedIn request, and they actually sent LinkedIn requests to me too. So, but you got to be on your ball, you be fast, and do a little research before we get on there to know what companies are on there. And then of course, this one guy told me to look at these jobs. So I went on the job site, cut and paste all the job positions, and sent it to the guys. So these are the positions I'm looking for. Of course, sent my resume to them too. So
perfect.
And it
Thank
worked.
you, Kelly. Appreciate your comments. All right, Kiki.
So this is a tech question, and it's really just about familiarity with a certain app. Has anyone heard of apps like Telegram? I've been getting texts from job boards requesting that I add them to my phone to start the application process. Never heard of them.
I haven't either. Rick, Joe, do you guys, because you're in the corporate recruiting.
That was from my group, and I told them to ask that question to Joe specifically, because she's the most technical.
Joe's the app girl.
All right, okay, if you could just repeat the question, I'm sorry.
It's all right. So this question is about an app like Telegram, or the app Telegram. This person's been getting texts from job boards requesting that they add this app to the phone to start the application process. They never heard of them. Joe's like, no.
Don't, just absolutely don't. You just stick with the job board that you have known. And I will tell you too, that if you ever see, there are times when you'll see a job on LinkedIn, and when you click on to apply for the job, it takes you to somewhere else, right? So when I see that, like, especially it's like NEUVOO, I see that a lot, Nuvu or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go through that. I will then go to that person, to that company's website and apply directly from there, just because I don't want to go through any third parties, because all they're doing is they're scraping your information, and I just won't give that to just anybody. I want to only deal with legitimate companies in a legitimate, hiring process. So absolutely not.
Actually, Telegram is a really popular, and Clubhouse are really popular platforms right now where people are finding jobs. And it's actually a trick, because they want to see if you're social media savvy. And those are two of the biggest platforms right now. Yeah. And I've actually known a couple people who found leads and then jobs through those two. So if you're an older candidate, it's almost a screen out, I think.
So it might be like an ageist type of thing. I mean,
yeah.
So I think there's probably some truth in between, because with the Telegram job app, and I just put the link over in the chat, I think what Joe's saying about where somebody's taking the conversation somewhere else, it looks like there are also scams out there where once you get to this other place, some people are using it for nefarious purposes. So like, if you're in Clubhouse, sometimes there are good hallways to be in, and then there's other stuff that's going on, and it's maybe, not so great and being used for nefarious purposes. So maybe beware, right? You can maybe look into it, but if anybody asks you for money or anything like that, then to just run away from it. Fair enough.
For Clubhouse, I'm in a group of about 200 sourcers worldwide, and they're always commenting on things they're finding, in Clubhouse that even give them pause. And these are people who they're professional hackers, if you will, like white hat, sometimes gray hat, hacking to be able to find people for jobs. And they're even, throwing out caution, about certain Clubhouse. It, like you said, to your point, Kiki, it really just depends on who's hosting. And just because we don't all have the ability to, to do the proper vetting of these things, I guess I'm of the mindset of when in doubt, do without, unless there's somebody legit who recommends it or endorses it.
You know what, though? I'm thinking the more I think about what Tammy is saying here, the ageism question comes up very frequently here in the Higher Moment Mastermind. And truly, I think that a lot of people are aware that there are so many different ways that you can be ruled out, where people are like, oh, you don't know what Telegram is or Clubhouse. So we'll just eliminate that older group right away. And so, it never hurts to be curious. I'm impressed by the question. And I think that if you do have questions, put a little research into it. It doesn't hurt to just go and find out, Google it, find out a little bit more, if it is something that you think you need to know. And Tammy says here, oh, okay, this is a follow-up question. What do you think of the trend of digital interviews where candidates are asked to videotape themselves responding to interview questions? That's a good one.
It is a good one. And actually, that's becoming a little bit more popular. I wouldn't say there's a tsunami wave yet, but there definitely is some little laps of the waves coming. And, you know, look, I get why some employers want to do that, because they want to get to know you before they get to know you. Because look, they're gonna be taking their time, the half hour, the hour of that screening interview. What they're doing is, this is a sort of a next step between your two-dimensional piece of paper resume and the actual interview. This is just giving them an opportunity for you to share yourself, your personality, beyond just what they see on paper. I've never actually asked candidates to do that, although I did have one candidate that proactively did it. It was fascinating. I didn't ask her, but she just did her own little videotape. It was about 10 minutes. It was great. Actually, I really enjoyed it, and I got to know her a little bit. I do realize that it can be a little bit nerve-wracking if somebody asks you to do that, because all of a sudden you're like videotaping yourself and you're not talking to anyone. You do have to get a little bit comfortable with it, and you know, just a really easy way to do it, because we're all on Zoom now. I think most of us have become a little more proficient with Zoom. All you need to do, excuse me, is just open up your Zoom, right? And you just hit the record button, and you're just looking, and you want to look right into the camera. You want to make sure that your camera that you are minimizing your screen so that you show up as a little box, and push your box right underneath your webcam so you're looking right at it. And you're just going to talk. And what you can do is, if you do it that way, when your box moves over, you'll have access to the rest of your computer. You'll be able to see a Word document, for example, and behind you, you could script out your little speech and just make sure it sounds a little conversational. You're hitting record, and that's it. And you can do it as many times as you want, so that if you actually have to get on the platform and do it for real, then you're a little bit more practiced. So it's new, it's a little funky. I know it doesn't feel as comfortable. I'm not in disagreement with it. I understand why people are doing it. It's perfectly legit. It's just another way for them to get to know you before they decide to meet with you.
Yeah, if you haven't by the end of this past year felt like you're just being pushed into getting media training. I mean, it's like, you know, how can I succinctly answer this question on camera and look good doing it and look like I'm super organized? I mean, then I don't know where you've been, because I feel like everyone is at least exploring what their lighting is looking like. Maybe you've invested in a ring light. And so it's definitely helpful to figure out what's the best way that you can come across on video. Of course, I would say that. That said, I'm going to say that, you know, some alarm bells for me that go off. It does make sense that people want to do these interviews by video. But similar to the previous question, I do wonder sometimes if that's used to rule people out before you get to the point where, you know, there's been more of a review of, you know, what your experience is and things like that. So, you know, I'm always just a little bit cognizant that that's something that might be at play. But
yeah, it's true. There's I don't think there's any sort of one best practice now. There's a lot of practices. There's pros and cons, right, to all of these things, and we just kind of have to mitigate them. I guess my suggestion would be, if somebody is asking you to do it, I don't think there's anything ostensibly wrong with it per se. I'd say go ahead and go for it. It's not illegal, right, to do that. Are there unintended consequences? Sure. Could there be some unconscious bias that's getting in there? Sure. That happens a lot. So you just kind of have to balance things out. But yes, I think it's an okay practice. Just there's other sides to it. Yeah. All right. Next question, Kiki.
Next question. We talked a lot about being pigeonholed. Recruiters look at your job title. They look at your past industries. One person in our group is getting job offers for jobs that do not interest her. She has more of an administrative background and is looking, I'm like rushing through, and is looking to transition into something different. Yep. What is the best way to get recruiters to engage you about what you're looking for and not what your job title says in the past?
Right. So I'm just going to harken right back to that little PowerPoint that I just showed you, because that is, I think, a really, really good example. So in that particular case, the original, I didn't show it to you there, but the person's original resume was all government relations. Like, it literally looked like a government relations resume, traditional. And there's no way that an employer would ever know that she was actually interested in operations work. We had to redo her resume, completely rebrand it, gave her a new headline, the operations-minded professional, used all of those different skill sets and made sure that they popped next to every accomplishment, rewrote that LinkedIn profile, to focus on the fact that she's actually interested in operations. So I'm emphasizing this to you because it's so important that, number one, you get really clear on where you're going, not just where you've been. And then make sure that in your resume, in your LinkedIn, and by the way, not for nothing, in your networking elevator pitch, that you are very, very clear with people. Look, this is where I'm going. And you might even, in that case, you might say, look, I know that my background has been in XYZ. What I'm really looking for is PDQ. And if you're super clear about that, employers will get it. But again, you've got to be really intentional about how you format it, the keywords that you use. Again, the phraseology, you got to have some thought to it. So whether you work with somebody like me or whether you work with a colleague, somebody who can be objective with you, really make sure that you're thinking about your intentional branding, that employers are going to be more likely to think of you for the things that you want rather than just what your old resume says. Okay, Kiki, next question.
All right, this is a real popular one, but also very helpful. After an initial screening interview, how long do you wait before following up? And is it all right to follow up more than once, even though not hearing from them after a week is not a particularly good sign?
Yep, Rick, I'm going to toss this one to you.
Well, I think following up within the week is fine. I think I would follow up once, maybe twice at the most. If they're interested in you, if we're interested as a recruiter, we will definitely get back with you and we will let you know. We'll say things like, please let us know if you have other competing offers, and, so we can follow up on our conversation so that they'll give you hints that they are interested.
That's exactly right. There's that old expression, I know we don't like to hear it, but it's true. Don't call us, we'll call you, all right? What that means basically is if the employer is interested, they will track you down. You don't want let your anxiety be running the show here. They will, I like to say, they'll send a carrier pigeon to your home. If they want to find you, they will find you. And like to Rick's point, they'll give you these little hints. They'll say either keep you posted if you had another offer. Hey, we're really excited about you. Our next step is you will be meeting with the blah, blah hiring manager or what have you. So they'll keep you posted. So you don't have to follow up just to kind of gauge the employer's interest. They will track you down. Now that said, if it's been a while, a lot of employers, they've got a lot of stuff going on their plate. And especially if you're not dealing with a recruiter, if you're dealing with an HR person, or you're not even dealing with an HR person, you're just dealing with the hiring manager themselves. The last thing on their mind is recruiting. I mean, you'd think, right? You're waiting by the phone, but they've got other stuff on their plate. In fact, Deborah Shelby's on this call, and Deborah wrote me offline recently. She said that there's, I think, Deborah, your phrase is there's my time and then there's the real time. No, there's the job seeker time and then there's the real time. So job seeker time is wait by the phone, right? Like I want them to call me right away. Real time is they got other stuff on their plate, right? And they'll get back to you when they need to. So if you're kind of a little worried about that, just pack your patience. But if they have said, for example, they're going to get back to you in 2 weeks and 3 weeks have gone by, yes, you certainly are welcome to send a note just to reiterate your interest. But again, if they're interested, promise you, they will call you. And by the way, it's not over till it's over. It could be weeks and weeks from the time of your interview, and all of a sudden you get this random call. It just might have been that there were other priorities on their plate, and you thought mentally you've moved on, but they haven't. You're still in their bucket. They're thinking, erroneously sometimes, that you're just going to be available whenever they call you. That's not always the case. So on them, they need to move faster. But on your side of it, just don't be surprised if somebody calls you out of the blue. Okay, Kiki, do you have one more question before we move on?
I do, and this is actually a really short one, so it might be short and sweet. I think this was Jean that asked this, but is there a template that you use for congratulations emails, these congratulations emails we were talking about before?
Joe, since you were the one who brought that up, do you have a little kind of speech in your head you want to just share with folks?
I was just responding to a question in the chat. So if you could repeat that, please. And I promise I won't be this distracted.
I know, poor Joe. It's like, you're caught.
It's like, yeah, messaged, with questions that somebody's now posting to me directly on LinkedIn from this group, and then I wanted to respond to a chat here. So could you just please repeat the question? That'd be great.
Yes. So this is all about those congratulations emails after someone's received the news that they didn't get the job, right? Is there a template that you use for these congratulations emails?
No, I just simply say congratulations, on securing your first choice for the role. It's just a congratulating them for getting their first pick, and just say, I really enjoyed, this process, or just say something positive about what you gleaned, from their company, the people in their company, or whatever. And then you end with, should you have any questions about, anything, and make it specific to something that you might have discussed where they wanted your expertise, say, please do not hesitate to reach back out. So it's just really congratulations, say something positive about your experience with the company or the people in the company, and then end with the offer to be contacted. So just those 3 elements, but keep it short and sweet. We don't want, 3 paragraphs. These are just seriously 3 lines here, so.
Great. All right, so with that, I'm looking at the time. If there are any other questions in the chat that we have not gotten to, please, again, feel free to email me directly. Kiki, if you want to put my email address back in the chat box for folks, that would be great.
Right.
So before we go into our round robin speed networking, I do want to wrap up with a few more slides. If you would like to keep in touch with us, here is our contact information. And so we'll go ahead and leave that up there for just a minute. So if you want to go ahead and take a picture, that would be fine. We're happy to connect with you offline. And then I also like to let you know about some local free job support groups. I always say local. I know in Zoom land, we could be tapping into anywhere around the world, but here in the DC area, here are some groups that are fantastic. For the most part, they are all free, and they meet on a weekly basis, with the exception of the Career Gateway on the bottom right. They meet every month, and it's a $75 week-long job seeker group. So you're welcome to take advantage of all of that. These are fantastic groups. If you would like to subscribe to my newsletter, which I started in January, you're welcome to do that as well. It's a short little blog. I do it every 2 weeks, and it's a little pick-me-up and a little inspiration around your job search. I also like to end with an inspirational quote from the Bible, and today's is, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take courage. I, the Lord, have overcome the world." And that's from John. And along those lines, we do now have a prayer meeting that immediately follows this call. So if you'd like to stay on after the call, I'll be leading everyone in a short prayer session. And so here we go. We're going to do the round robin speed networking, all right? So you're going to have 10 seconds to state your name, the role that you're seeking, and your industry preference if you have any. So again, I'm seeking a CFO role in the nonprofit sector, or I'm just seeking a CFO role, that's fine. But again, please do not share your backstory, because we just unfortunately don't have time. We have a lot of folks on this call, and we want to get through things really, really fast. And then after you're done, just put your contact information in the chat box. Because if somebody else sees that, if they have a lead for you, please network offline, okay? So it's a little bit like that game Concentration when we were little kids, right? So you're in finance and you see somebody else in finance, connect with them. This is always a great thing to connect with your peers. It might be that there's a job that's not right for them, but's right for you. So make sure that you're listening, especially for the people in the call who have some sort of connection to what you do or the industry that you do it for. Make sure to have some offline Zoom coffees, right, with folks to kind of boost your networking. All right. So with that, we're going to do Hollywood squares, right? So just get ready, because I'm just going to go around my room here. And it happens to be that Ruth DeHart is my first person. So Ruth, you got 10 seconds to share what you're looking for. And make sure that you're not on mute.
I'm a business process consultant, strategist, and champion of innovation, and I'm focusing in the senior living world.
Thanks, Ruth. Ty Smith?
My name is Ty Smith. I'm a customer service rep. I put smiles on people's faces. I'm focusing on association world pension management.
Thank you. Jeremy Wood? Jenny Wood?
Sorry, not quick enough on my unmute. I'm Jenny Wood. I'm an information problem solver. I connect people with the information they need to make critical decisions. I have not focused on a particular industry at this point.
Great. Hey, by the way, I'm going to try something new here. Normally we say keep yourselves on mute. For now, for the time being, let's everybody unmute. Just go ahead and do it, unless you've got dogs barking in the background, so that when I call on you, we can go real fast. All right. So Linda Gross.
My name is Linda Gross. I don't really have a particular industry that I'm interested in, but my passion is giving back and being of service. So my primary interest is working in the nonprofit sector, but I've learned to keep my options open. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Julie Mans?
Yeah, hi, Julie Manis. I'm looking for a role as a daily money manager with a small daily money management firm serving seniors, busy professionals, and anyone else who needs help with their home office work. Thank you.
Thanks. Dan Moss?
I'm in the government relations advocacy space, ideally in the environmental arena.
Yes. Mike?
Good morning, everybody. Mike Thibodeau in the data protection and privacy space, seeking to make sure that our data is used ethically and legally, targeting companies like Amazon and Facebook and those who are on the Hill yesterday.
Thank you. Sonia Lee?
Hi, I'm Sonia Lee. In this job search, it's been tough. I feel like I'm always the bridesmaid and never the bride.
Oh.
And I'm ready to be the bride. I'm looking for HR leadership opportunity. That be HR director, VP, CHRO, whichever one it is. And I'm not, the industry that I'm focused on is GovCon, for-profit, or nonprofit.
Great, thanks, Sonia. Shannon W?
Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Washington. I am looking for accounts payable specialist in Fairfax area. And I'm very passionate working in finance department.
Thank you, Shannon. Amani?
Hi, I am looking for entry level in business analyst or in project as a project coordinator.
Great, thank you. Carolyn Hurley?
Hi, I'm a government relations lawyer lobbyist, and I am looking to do tax lobby work for a technology-minded company.
Thank you, Carolyn. Kelly Nugent?
Yes, Kelly Nugent, outside account executive or business development manager, representative, either looking in the IT telecom world or getting back into the physical security, access control systems, and security cameras.
Great, thanks.
Kelly Nugent.
Thank you, Kelly. Ellen?
Hello, I'm Ellen, and I have in art. I have a background in art, extensive knowledge, and I've recently acquired an MBA in marketing, which I would pursue as entry level. That in particular, I focus on consumer satisfaction. I have a heart for obviously the and nonprofit organizations that serve people like the Housing Opportunities Commission arena. And I'm also alternatively interested as another person in the environment.
Thank you, Ellen.
Was there another?
That was it. That was it. Thank you, Ellen. Susan McInerney.
Oh, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. My name is Susan McInerney. And I'm a writer-editor. I am looking to work for a nonprofit, non-governmental organization, or a faith, specifically faith-based would be great, but I can expand that.
Great, thank you, Susan. Jasri, hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, you got that right. Good morning, everybody. It was a very enlightening conversation. I'm looking for project manager roles in the IT industry. But I've gotten a lot of good information today. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Shalom Raboya.
Oh, hi, I'm Shalom. I'm Raboya. I'm a detail-oriented problem solver, people lover who's been in legal executive administrative support, hoping to pivot into the event planning space once it comes back to life.
We all hope it does. Deborah Levin.
Hi, everyone. Debbie Levin. I'm looking for, I've been involved in forensic science and enterprise programs, so that's my interest. Primarily business operations and enterprise programs and some strategy. Thank you very much. And I'm looking at private industry and definitely nonprofits, which I've been involved in for a number of years, and the federal government.
Great, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Latham?
Hey, good morning, Dawn Latham, a longtime association executive. I am looking for my next leadership opportunity with an association or nonprofit. executive director, CEO, C-suite work.
Great. Thank you, Don. Jeffrey Wiseman.
Hey, good morning. Jeffrey Wiseman in the Richmond, Virginia area. I'm an architect. I'll put my information in the chat, but I wanted to take my 10 seconds and express my thanks to this forum and to Shira directly, who's helped me kind of navigate this whole new process. Two things, takeaways that have helped me, I'm in the interviewing process, is knowing your happy number, because it's going to be asked. It also demonstrates that you have a self-value. And then also is asking the employer a lot of questions, especially about what they think this role looks like to them, and also what you would expect them to see you evolve into 30, 90, 100 days down the road, because it shows you're also trying to reduce their risk.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate the tips. All right, Jen Everhart.
I am a jobs specialist and keeping job seekers afloat and in career discernment.
Great, thank you. Sandra George.
Hi, I'm Sandra George. I'm a talent strategist. I'm passionate about working with employers to identify and retain talent to build their business.
Great, thanks, Sandra. Michelle Olson.
Hi, yes, I'm Michelle Olson. I am an IT specialist in Microsoft SQL Server as a database administrator and an architect. I also have some business intelligence and analysis background, and I'm looking to get a similar type job utilizing the cloud infrastructure in the government con area, the government, or I'll look at other industries as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Greg Collins.
Hi, I'm Greg Collins. I'm a leadership development training manager, consultant, and coach, seeking a role in government or nonprofits with senior managers to help them build the skills to lead themselves and others.
Thanks, Greg. Christine William.
Hi, my name is Christine Whalen, and I am a diligent project collaborator, and I'm seeking roles more in the PMO space or project management office because I tend to work on projects at a strategic level. And one of the areas, the target areas, is health information systems. Thank you.
Thanks. Joan Rademacher.
Hi, I am a CPA with a public trust clearance right now, and what I'm looking, my contract is ending, and what I'm looking for is a lead budget analyst position or operations with a government contracting firm. And I'm a HAL person, and my clients have been very happy with what I do, but I think if I could do it, I would like to have remote. I really like telework. It's so much more peaceful. But that's what I'm looking for. And prior to this, I have federal experience. So I understand how the system works and can make the system work, in some cases, in spite of themselves.
Thank you, Joan. Sounds like you got good experience. John Wilson.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's John Wilson, and I have a information technology background, data processing, and that's what I'd like to continue doing in a secure environment. That's it.
Thanks so much. Jean Nekamden.
Jean Camden, I am looking for a director role either in internal audit or risk management, and also or a CFO role in a smaller outfit.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey Collins.
Jeffrey Collins, nonprofit executive. I am seeking opportunities to serve in the same capacity in the areas of social justice advocacy, aging, and workforce development.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Kimberly Bluen.
Hi, everyone. Kim Bluen. I'm a problem-solving IT production support leader. I'm looking for a position in the payments industry. Thank you.
Harrison Douglas.
Hi, I'm Harrison Douglas. My background is in HR operations and benefits, and I'm seeking a broader HR role where I can work with a forward-thinking company in their HR operations and fostering cultures of high psychological safety to help teams succeed.
Thank you, Harrison. Ken Shopman.
Hi, everyone. Ken Shopman, Association CEO and servant leader, and I love to help organizations get to the next level of success. Thanks very much, Shira.
Sure, thanks. Elena Shapina?
Sure, yes. My name is Elena Shipina. I'm a commercial banker, and I am looking for an opportunity in product development and implementation in financial technology industry, more specifically in cloud banking.
Thank you. And Noreen Hennigan? Noreen, are you still with us? Noreen, do you want to put your, take yourself off mute? Well, I happen to know that Noreen is launching a recruiting firm, and she's going to be recruiting for a wide variety of executive and professional searches. So I'm sure she'll be sharing more about that in future meetings. Did I get everyone? And if I didn't, feel free to unmute yourself and raise your hand. All right, Hollywood Squares worked. Yay, second time around, woohoo. All right, so with that, that concludes the official portion of our Hire Moment Mastermind meeting for this Friday, March 26, 2021. For those of you who would like to stay on for the prayer call, you are certainly welcome to do that. Otherwise, look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I got an interview at 10:30, so I got to bounce. But thanks for everything. God
You're
bless.
welcome, Kelly.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck. Take care.
I'm just gonna be me.
There you go. Be you.
Good luck, Kelly.
All righty. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and jump into our prayer call. And just like last time, we'll go ahead and we'll go around the room. If anybody would like to share a prayer request, I will be jotting those down. And actually, let me just